Perfect. Okay, so welcome to the work table of the today we are in union cooperation trinational. This is the second one that we have. You already got the report about what was we talked about on the first round of the table. Let me see if I have it here. Yes, it's here. As I say, I have it in English and Spanish. Everybody got the reports. That's the report, the working table, pretty much where we need to pay attention there. On the first work meeting, we talked pretty much about the chapter 3 of the USMCA. We have the table where we are talking about the USMCA. This one is just for unions. And this is the proposals that everybody use talk about at the first meeting. How this gonna work after this round of work table that we are participating right now, and we are just pointing the topics that we need to be talking about. We're gonna talk to each one of you that you are doing the proposal. So you're gonna make a presentation on the next phase of the on the meetings, where you're going to have 15 minutes to talk of each one of these topics, and then we're going to open the discussion for everybody just to try to bring more stuff to these topics and make it strong. That's going to be the second phase of this process. And then in the next one, we're going to invite somebody that is already familiar with this, with the unions, with the USMCA, and all the topics that we are talking about on these tables. On the first one, as you see, my name appears pretty much on everything because I try to translate some of the things that people is saying and they don't specify which is the topic. Or I had my own points, but that's secondary. That's why all the time say Diego say this, but it's not just because I propose it. Sometimes I translate what somebody is trying to bring to the table. On this one, we are talking about establishing the Trinational Solidarity Fund. That is, I think it is very important, this one, because the money is all the time is an issue. And the fifth one is to create a trinational union network to stretch ties to support a small organization. The third is create a directory of unions of each country, and that's something that proposed Carlos Telles. We have Carlos Calles, sorry, and Raúl Gatica, who is pretty much working with the unions and the immigrants in Canada. They were talking about that. The other one is promote a horizontal unison with leadership renewal every 2 years. That's something that it should be talking about in these tables, and the take away the barriers that prevent the people to get joint unions in United States and Canada. That's Antonio Garces, the one who proposed that. And then my name appears again. So this is the topic that we're going to be talking and the next phase. But today, I invite you to keep bringing these topics to the table. Which topic do you think they should be in these working groups? So who wants to initiate?
There's Armando again.
Yes, Armando is joining us.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Martin, I wondered if you wanted to start. Martin is one of the co-coordinators of our Labor Solidarity Committee that we have jointly with Labor Notes, and I think that Labor Notes in some of these points, they could be a big help. Hola, Armando.
Hola, hola, ¿ya me escuchan?
Sí, ¿qué tal, Armando? Welcome to the meeting.
Buenas tardes.
Perfect. Okay, so Martin, you want to bring some topics that you think in your experience we should be talking about this trinational cooperation of unions?
He's trying to get out of mute.
Yes, yes, it's right.
Okay. Bueno, this is my first meeting. I'm not prepared. It was a little, no idea I would be asked, so I pass.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay, well, maybe I can start then, and Luis would love to have you jump in. Just that our committee has focused on auto, and so it's great that Luis is here. but there are already ties between the UAW, Cynthia to some extent, and Luis is working on that, and with the Unifor in Canada. I think that, when you say create a trinational union network, it's really has to be union by union. So there is already a trinational coalition for education for teachers, and that has been meeting since the 1990s. So that already is in existence. In some of the other ones, it really is, I think, union by union. So I don't really know that we could do something there. eh, I don't know, maybe Luis, if you want to comment on that.
Yes, one of the
Yeah.
things that we okay, go
Okay,
Luis.
go ahead.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah. Yes, one of the things we were talking at the early table that the revision of the USMCA was we need to ask a lot of stuff. Maybe there's something that's not going to be possible, but at least we need to talk about it because this way we're going to bring it up the necessity to do something. So even if say it's union by union, it's going to be very difficult to do it. We need to talk about it. So this way, at least we're going to point it out that it's a need to do something about this. So don't start with ourselves to say we don't go in that direction. Let's wait until the big problem say there's no way to do it. Okay. So well, yes, Luis, go.
Yeah. So as May mentioned, there is already some efforts undergoing between UAW, Unifor in Canada, which is the auto worker union, and particularly Cynthia, Citiab, which is the Volkswagen union, and Citaudi. And we even already had a first trinational summit back in November to kind of like set our agendas together towards the USMCA review and create some common things that we can be pushing for. From those conversations come what I was mentioning earlier, that the UAW has already kind of a clear idea of what is going to be pushing forward in this review. And the unfortunate situation was that as Trump, took office and tariff rollout and different positions from different unions across the countries, including my own, having taken a certain stance on some of those tariffs, kind of like put a damp a little bit on the work together. So we had to we have a prolonged pause that we are now retaking. Now we are retaking the efforts to do joint programs. We are supporting Cynthia with their organizing in General Motors in San Luis Potosí. We are constantly trying to move the work forward. That has a lot of promise. We are starting to get back together again, and we had a meeting last week, no, the week before, in which we established a working group for trade issues between the three unions, the four unions, Cynthia, Citiab, Citaudi, and UAW. And in our follow-up meeting next week, we are going to have Unifor join part of those efforts.
Right.
So we are kind of like, that's already moving forward with regards particularly to the auto industry. Now, obviously, we're talking about efforts that are wider. Something that has to be noted, and I think that everyone here has to take note of that, is that in Mexico there is also a reconfiguration happening of the political forces, and especially in the labor movement, where back in, I think it was February or February, there was an initial meeting of all the unions. And when I say all the unions, I mean the charro unions with the independent unions and everything in between, right? And I think that for the charro unions, it has been a wonderful opportunity that Trump has given them to kind of seek to form an alliance with the Morena party. And CTM has completely renounced their PRI connections, and now they want to be part of the Morena party. And Morena already has kind of its own my
CTM,
charro, the CATEM, which is,
Yeah.
we have
you
the
know,
CATEM, charros.
another charro union. And so, and what we have seen lately is that the Mexican government has already taken steps in appointing people from that movement to be kind of like in the next door room during the negotiations, and that is great. I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying that it's a coalition of like everyone in between that is there, and that might be okay. And now, I don't know if you saw in the recent news, just within this last week, now there is a group of business people, the Chamber of Commerce, el Consejo Coordinador Empresarial, that are coming together with this coalition of unions to form kind of like a unified front towards the USMCA review. I'm not saying that is bad. I'm not saying that is wrong. I'm just saying that it's worth kind of like paying attention to the dynamics that is creating in terms of like this reaccommodation of the political forces that existed before and that are new under these two last administrations, and that, of course, like they are coming together like as if business people and unions are one and have one interest, which I would argue that it's not the case. But and our allies, including ASPA, which is the pilot unions, they are actually kind of like the leading organization that is kind of like joining them all together. And ASPA, I have a lot of respect for them for how they conduct their business as an independent democratic union. But so yeah, I mean, they are the ones who are kind of like leading that charge. So it will be interesting. I think that at some point they called that group, before they got together with the business people, they called for a tri-national meeting of unions, all of the industries. That hasn't happened. It didn't materialize. I don't know why. But there, at some point, there was that idea floating out there. I don't know to what extent it's something that we want to retake, or if we want to do something that is more like on our own, given the mixture of elements that exist in that particular table. But that's just something to put out there on the table for us to discuss.
I would just say that at the USMCA meeting last week, Diego, somebody mentioned having union members or participate in the USMCA negotiations, or in the next room. So now Luis is saying that already, at least on the Mexico side, they're saying that there will be some representatives. I think, though, that what I believe it might have been Raul was saying, that it shouldn't just be the leaders. If there could be some rank and file leaders there, it would be important, because some of these unions, as Luis was saying, some of these charro unions, for example, do they really represent the rank and file, the grassroots workers? So if we could, maybe the diputados can help us argue for the presence of some rank and file workers in that room next door.
Yes, and this is the idea pretty much about these tables. And we know that the charro unions, they are controlling everything. But the idea here is to start with these dissidents in Mexico. That we have the dissidentes telefonistas. They are just trying to fight against the teléfonos de México. And we need to, that's the idea about this topic. We need to bring the deputies, we need to bring the senator, everything on the tables. I don't know if on all this stuff that is going on, Luis, is any consideration, any member of the Senate in Mexico is involved on this, or is who is doing something? Because we have here the Senadora Karina Ruiz, who is going to be on that, things about the USMCA. So I don't know if they are involved of this, of the unions, whether this is one of the topics that needs to be.
My understanding is that at least at the beginning, one of the two Congress people who were involved in calling for this were Senator Gómez Urrutia, the leader of Los Mineros, and the other one was Ramirez Cuellar, who I think is not a senator but a rep in the lower chamber. So, and by the way, the Telefonistas are part of this coalition too. So yeah, they have everyone. They have absolutely everyone.
Perfect.
How about the CNTE, Luis?
I don't think that the CNTE is, because that's kind of like the Democratic fraction of the SNTE. But it might be that the SNTE, as the main union, is in that. I can't remember if I've seen them listed.
No.
I wouldn't be surprised. Stunam is there too. And so is CTM, CROM, CROC, CATEM, etc. So I guess for the senator, for Senator Ruiz, it will be good to kind of like just checking with somebody like Senator Gomez Urrutia to see like where that is heading, what is our role on that. Like, I know that at some point, as I said, they had the intention of also calling for a trinational summit of unions, but you know, it's obviously her turf.
Perfect. Thank you. Go ahead, Karina.
Yeah, Senator Waldo is the one who's the president of the commission that's in charge of the revision of the T-MEC in the Senate. Waldo, oh my gosh, his last name escaped me, but he's from the Green Party. He's from the Green Party, so we're in connect with Luis and see. I mean, there's probably gonna be different spaces that are gonna be created on the way to these conversations, and it's important that we always try to make sure that the workers are included as much as possible. And it's not gonna be an easy task, but we have to push for that. And I'm all for that because I do believe that they're the most impacted in all this. So we have to make sure that they're at least at some level involved in the conversation.
Thank you, Senator. Go ahead, Mesa.
I just wanted to thank Senator Ruiz. We saw your video from San Diego, and it was great that you were able to visit. Those are some of the friends of the Mexico Solidarity Project as well. So that was great.
So, yes, okay. And this is one of the things we need to, I think you already have the experience, the Mexican Solidarity Project. You have been working with unions, pretty much the Cynthia. We were covering together how was this developed and the triumph of the Cynthia union. And that's what we want to replicate, that those small businesses and small unions get some support from their unions in the United States and Canada. And that's going to be part of the T-MEC, but I think what Luis is talking about is something, I don't know, this inside of the T-MEC, that all this conversation they are having the unions on is going to be something different. I didn't get that.
It's part of the USMCA renegotiation. Okay. In fact, they are already kind of like putting forward what their view on what needs to be changed is, and one of them, I mean, both CTM unions, the Charro unions, and the business people have come out already saying that there is an abuse of the rapid response mechanism, and that the U.S. government uses it to coerce the companies to submit to their will or whatnot. And from our point of view and the view of the independent unions, the rapid response mechanism has been a good tool that their shortcomings are because of fixes that need to make it more nimble in its action, right? And not because like it oversteps or covers things that are important to workers. So from there, I don't know how they are reconciling that internally when you have independent unions like Cynthia, like La Liga, who are part of this coalition, who have benefited from the rapid response mechanism in their organizing efforts. And in the same group, CTM, who's saying, oh, this is like an awful thing that needs to go away and or needs to be limited in this renegotiation of the USMCA.
Well, because
So-
the RMs have helped the independent unions oust the CTM. So of course they don't like it.
Okay, Armando.
Yeah, we'd like to mention this. We've been focused in Mexico, the unions, to me, the unions in the USA and Canada, they are a little bit charros too, because they don't put the idea or they bring the fact of the migrant workers to be part of the unions. And that is charros to me, you know. We criticize only Mexico, but in Canada, they don't have access to the workers, you know. And we workers in Mexico, in Canada, and the United States, but we should be fair to say that the unions in the United States and also in Canada, they are no open the doors to the workers. And that to me is a little bit of charismo, that they work only for his own interests, and the corporative companies, you know, is what we have to be criticized in the three countries, and we need to create committees of workers in every city, in every part of the three countries, to create a movement to be protesting why the unions in the United States, they were supposed to be the most democratic, they don't accept the migrant workers to be part of the unions. That is to be, well, let's go criticize Mexico, let's criticize. Of course, I've been with the charros, I know the CTM, I know all these telephone leaders, they've been more than Porfirio Diaz, 36 years in power, like the teléfonos in Mexico, and miners and everybody. We've been the rest of his life containing the movements of the democratic unions or independents, you know, and a lot of the leaders that we have, it just been changing only the t-shirt. Now we are more purple. Before they have three colors, but still the work is the same. They need the democratize the unions. But my critic is the unions in the United States and Canada. They have to open the doors for the other workers that has been exploited, his brothers and sisters, and we paying taxes without receiving benefits, you know, in that society. And I think so we have to create a system that no follow this logic of the unions workers, because is the workers, the farm workers or the steel workers, and especially the migrant workers, they don't receive nothing from them. That is my conception idea that we have to change.
Thank you, Armando. So on this one, I think I was talking on the first week that why we have the working table about labor rights. What is the table, the working table of the cooperation between unions in the United States, Mexico, and Canada, and why we have the review of the USMCA, and that's because maybe some of the things that are going to be touched by the USMCA, they're going to leave a lot of people outside, like the workers, the immigrants, and the independent unions. And I think that's the idea about this specific table, how to build this bridge, this connection between these independent unions and these independent workers that they so far they don't have the right to belong to any unions, how to create a mechanism that it can help, not just in Mexico, in the United States and Canada as well, to make these people be covered, maybe not by the union as the main thing that could want to protect them, but we can create like an organization to conglomerate all that people. I don't know, that's one of the ideas that I have. And then we're going to see on the labor rights table that the education people need to know they have rights no matter where they are, because that's the problem we have in Mexico as well. A lot of people from the United States, they are working right now in Mexico, and they are they don't have benefits. They are afraid that they get catch if they are working, they're going to be deported or something's going to happen. We pay attention what is going on in Canada with Raul Gatica talking about that all the time. You talk about United States, but in Canada we have 100,000 people, they have no rights and nobody's worried about them. I think we can start for the small things, talk about labor rights, then go and try to organize our people, and then go and see what's going on with the USVA. We have 1 year to work for the review or whatever is going to happen with the 2026 with the USMCA, and this is the main thing about this table, what we can do. Hopefully everything's going to be fixed in the USMCA. That's a weird dream, but that's what I have. But if no, in case if that doesn't happen, let's start what we can do to organize ourselves. How we're going to cooperate between unions. Some people want to belong to unions. Some people in Mexico, they want to change from the big, these big charro unions to another more small, and that happened. I know of a case in Pemex that somebody tried to open their own union in Pemex, and he fight and he won, but at the end, the whole system went against this guy, and he just stay alone. Nobody was following him because there was not the conditions to do this. I think with this table they can create that condition, and this is what we need to be talking about. This one, know how we're gonna fix things in the USMCA, because right now this is in hands of the Senate. We need to see our representatives, they're gonna do the right stuff, because even when Morena has majority, that's not all the times is gonna guarantee that something good is going to be doing well. So, and this is the idea. What is the idea that you have in your experience we need to be addressing on these tables, more than the USMCA, on things about the cooperation with the small unions, what we should be doing? Yes, go, Mason.
Yeah, hola, Hortensia and Humberto. You mentioned here, somebody mentioned a Trinational Solidarity Fund. That money should probably come from the unions. I can't think where else it would come from. The UAW has invested in a couple of positions, including Luis's, which is great. But it would be good because the independent unions don't have any money. They don't have unions to fall back on to help fund their campaigns. So a solidarity fund is really important. I don't know what the diputados can do to help make that happen, but if there's any way, that would be really great. The other thing is a lot of these points really have to do with people in their own countries fighting for labor reform. I mean, we can't get Canada from the United States or Mexico. We can't get Canada to give migrant workers the right to organize. That's up to Canadians. So just looking here to see what it is that we can do. So I was thinking too, Luis, I know one of the things that we had talked about in MSP was it would be great to have delegations of workers from the different countries actually visit each other, and maybe have a meeting in Mexico or one of the countries that includes the rank and file auto workers from the other countries to build that kind of solidarity. And again, I don't know if that's something that the diputados could help with, or certainly speak at and give them support. I don't know. Luis, what do you think?
Yeah,
Give me
in
a second,
fact,
Luis, just a minute. Hortensia, I'm not sure, no estoy seguro si hablas inglés. En dado caso de que no, estamos utilizando
yeah.
Zoom, la herramienta de AI Companion. Es esa estrellita que está parpadeando en la parte superior de tu monitor. Si le haces clic y le dice, ponme al día o dime qué dijo Diego, qué dijo Meisu, te lo va a traducir al español para que vaya siguiendo el hilo de la conversación. Con esto dicho, adelante, Luis.
yeah, no problem. Thank you. So we are actually planning on doing that. And what
Wonderful.
we were, and I don't want to speak out of turn here, especially because like these are plans that we still have to talk to Cynthia about. As you know, Cynthia is undergoing an organizing campaign in General Motors in San Luis Potosí, which has been there has been interference of the company to try to bring a charro union to compete against Cynthia, or possibly more unions to compete against Cynthia for the titularity of that contract. And so it's almost inevitable that we're going to have to see Cynthia going into an election in the General Motors plant in San Luis Potosí. So what we're trying to do right now is to kind of like focus our efforts to how any kind of like big profile actions, including members, rank and file members traveling to Mexico to support workers, can be contextualized in that historical event happening, because it will be the first time Cynthia is fighting for another plant besides the Silao plant that they already have, and it moves towards what we are promoting, which is creating union density within the industry. So Cynthia will be the first union that has actually an industry presence with assembly, with OEMs. And so that's why we're waiting just to understand what, when, where, like all of the details of what that election would look like, to number one, put some pressure on like trying to get observer status for certain international actors. And number two, have that kind of solidarity worker to worker with the rank and file. If it doesn't happen for some reason, I guess the best case scenario is that the Federal Center for Conciliation and Labor Registry finds out actually none of the other unions gathered the 30% signatures that they needed, and therefore Cynthia is automatically granted the titularity. Then we can like look at other moments in time, including the USMCA review, for having that. But as long as we have the pending fact that Cynthia might have to go to an election in San Luis Potosí, we would like to preserve that energy and that space, because we will require, like, you know, spending some money. It will require spending some political capital. It will require a lot of planning efforts in order to make it happen. And so we would like to contextualize it in that organizing drive of Cynthia. So when we finally get to hear from the Federal Center or from Cynthia that there is a resolution from the judge and the Federal Center, then we're gonna put a plan together, and then we're gonna make it, you know, accessible for those who are our allies, which includes this group, on what is that we are trying to do and when.
Perfect, thank you. Tenemos Humberto, Hortensia, ¿quieren agregar algún punto sobre esta mesa de cooperación sindical trinacional, perdón? And I do remind you that next Wednesday we're going to have this working group as well, the cooperation, at 6 o'clock Mexico time, Mexico City time. Go ahead, Humberto.
Sí, mira, yo creo que para mí saber que existe un fondo de solidaridad que no sé por cuánto tiempo va a existir, o un compromiso para la democracia a través del Tratado de Libre Comercio, aunque sea muy limitado, ha sido muy buena experiencia, ¿ok? No sé qué tan adentro están los Teamsters, porque ahorita están más cercanos a Trump que cuando estaba Biden. Pero bueno, los Teamsters no sé si han retirado el apoyo para seguir en este camino de la democracia sindical en México. Es una cuestión que no sé dónde estamos. Y también la solidaridad de la AFL-CIO para mantener el Solidarity Project en México, como una forma de apoyar a las diferentes campañas. Creo que el interés común de la inversión, los trabajos de Estados Unidos como la General Motors, es del interés de ellos porque pues, es donde sacan la ganancia, armarlos acá. Entonces, creo que es oportuno también analizar que inclusive tiene que ser con personas muy conscientes, la UFW, la FLOG, personas que de alguna manera contribuyan en causas comunes y es una tarea titánica involucrarlos en algo que vaya ampliando nuestros derechos, porque primero está la sobrevivencia de cada sindicato en Estados Unidos y primero están las organizaciones. Déjame darte un ejemplo. SEIU es la organización más grande de Estados Unidos en servicios en Estados Unidos. ¿Okay? SEIU pierde campañas, aunque gane elecciones de votación, porque en los lugares donde es un right to work estado, allá en Estados Unidos, pues la inversión que hacen para organizar es grande y lo que resulta, al contrario, es poco. Entonces, no hay mucho que hacer y no hay mucho interés. Entonces, mientras que se está organizando más a los controladores, en los Ubers, en otros tipos de acciones que son limitadas, no se está poniendo suficiente interés para los que se movilizan de México a Estados Unidos. Por eso yo creo que la concentración más grande es en controlar para poder representar y trabajar con los visados H2A y H2B, que son 450,000. Yo creo que ahí es donde está el ángulo, donde puede ser una carta importante para la presidenta y puede ser una carta importante para ambos sindicalismos de México y Estados Unidos, tener propia representación o encontrar una fórmula de representar a estos trabajadores en su movilidad temporal, si le queremos decir así, pero que existe una movilidad y un riesgo de trabajo hacia una industria que es toda lo que es, por ejemplo, zacate, todo lo que es construcción y todo lo que es servicio a hotelerías y todo lo que es agricultura.
Gracias, Humberto. Y pues todos pueden utilizar la AI Companion if you want to use it, so it's going to be able to translate there what Humberto say. ¿Alguien más quiere agregar algo? Somebody else wants to add something to the table? Yes, Mesa.
Just one other quick thing is I think that we need materials aimed at workers at the rank and file level to help them understand why trinational worker solidarity is important. And perhaps the diputados can help disseminate materials like that. I think on another table that was mentioned using radio and other communication means, but I think that's very important because there is as Armando said, there's anti-immigrant sentiment among workers and unions in the United States and Canada, and that needs to be addressed. And I think it's up to us, though, in the United States and Canada to develop some of those materials.
Yes, and this is one of the topics that we're going to be talking on the political education that we are talking with some of you guys as well. So this is the working table. We're going to try to achieve some things, but at least we're going to consolidate the program for the political education. And in that is going to be precisely all this information, how we're going to spread this information for everybody over there. Remember that we are going for the immigrant workers that are over there, but as well, we are going for the second, third generation of Mexicans that they are living in the United States, that we are talking about between 30, 40 million plus that the people that they might get involved on this one, on all this project. So yes, we're gonna keep that in mind. So, and the same is for everybody when to understand that this is not some effort that is gonna be just part of a few conversations. I want to stop there. No, this is the consolidation to create a political education in Mexico, United States, and Canada, and then each one is going to use it and the benefit of their own community. Okay. Anybody else wants to, Armando?
Yeah, I think so. This is a great opportunity for the unions in the United States to accept the migrant workers. First of all, they want to bring a lot of numbers on his union members, that make the unions stronger in the United States and Canada. And they're gonna collect dues from all these members. That means it's win to win. And in making it stronger, the unionize the workers from migrants in Mexico. I think so. There's we don't have to pass this great historic opportunity to do that. Maybe we have to sensibilize and the leaders of these unions, because if they think in new members, we are we can be bringing millions of workers to the unions. If they want money, we bring millions of dollars to these unions. And what is the problem? Prejudice, racist, or what? If they don't accept us, we need to find a way to create our own unions, international unions of workers of the world united. Come on. Let's do it.
Thank you, Armando. And yes, we need to bring with something. And when you was talking, Mesa, about who is gonna get money for this fund, obviously it needs to be the big unions. And how we gonna get that when our second, third generation of Mexican start being part of this union? Because now these Mexicans over there, they are U.S. citizens. They have better education. They have better jobs. They have the opportunity to belong to this big organization. If we create a conscience of them to support their brothers and sisters in a small unions, I think it's a chance that we're gonna do it. And I was saying, I think in the first meeting that when we were setting up this one, is the bad stuff about USA is the government, not the Americans, not the US citizens. I have that experience. I have a lot of friends, really good friends, the U.S. citizens, that they are nice people, that they want to help, and that's something that I know for sure that there's a lot of people in the United States. Same in Mexico. In Mexico, we are very solidarious. We try to help one to each other. Sometimes, like siblings, we fight, but at the end, we are looking for the benefit of everybody, and that's what is called the humanismo mexicano. And I think with humanismo mexicano is not just here in Mexico. I think it is now it's in the United States, because you have tons of Mexicans living over there. We are talking about 40 million. It's a really good percentage of the people in the United States, and we have that in Canada as well. So this is the main idea about these working groups. I don't know if you have any other topic that you want to bring here. I need to remind you that we're gonna keep doing this one more session of this topic, and then we're gonna bring all together, see which topics we need to discuss more deeply, and we're gonna arrange that between you and myself, and we're gonna present the the second phase, one work meeting just for one specific topic, where everybody can just talk about that specific topic so we can progress on this work. I don't know if anybody else have anything else to add. It's just getting here. Mario Martínez, ¿qué tal, Mario? Bienvenido. No me dio tiempo de decirte hace rato, son reuniones bilingües, en dado caso de que no se maneje bien algún idioma, estamos manejando el EA Companion, en el cual ahí te pone exactamente lo que estábamos diciendo. Le puedes preguntar, ponme al día, qué dijo Diego, qué dijo Meisu, qué dijo Martín, y ahí te sale exactamente igual al finalizar esta reunión. Todo esto se sube a un canal, Formación Política ME, donde se puede volver a ver el video. Y cada semana estoy pasando un reporte de todas estas reuniones. Ok, no sé si tengas algún, vi que entraste y saliste, estamos hablando de cooperación trinacional. Vamos a tener una mesa más el próximo miércoles a las 6 de la tarde de este tema en específico. Igual, si no te han llegado, if anybody doesn't receive the report that I sent, the resume about the first week, let me know, I can send that back again. And all these videos, they are on YouTube now. The channel is Formación Política ME. You're going to find every single one except the first one this morning because I forgot to record it. But I'm going to send the report. I apologize for that. I was a little bit busy and tired. But here we are with energy to keep going. Okay, I don't know if anybody want to add something.
Maybe Hortensia, she doesn't speak English, so maybe she could, if she has
Yeah.
something to say in Spanish.
Hortensia o Mario, ¿quieren agregar algo? Temas que ustedes creen que debería de estar integrados en esta mesa de cooperación sindical trinacional. No tienen que ser necesariamente propuestas, pueden ser dudas que haya para que esas vayan a ser esclarecidas después. Martín, Mario, adelante.
Un abrazo para todos, y estar atento exactamente de la grabación y ya estaremos de manera más puntual al inicio de las sesiones. Un abrazo y
Perfecto.
bendiciones.
Gracias. Mario tiene poco que se unió a estas mesas de trabajo. He has a little bit of time that he just joined us to the working groups. The same, if anybody wants to be part of these working groups, you can just fill up the registration. I'm gonna pretty much we already have it. We're gonna keep sending that link so people can register for any of these topics. If you have any idea about one that is not covered on the list, just let me know. We can add it. An announcement next Thursday, the 22nd. This Thursday, 22nd, we're going to have the first working group of the second phase. Our partner, Jorge Mujica, he's going to be talking about labor rights in USA. So it's like we are doing this way. You're going to know how it's going to be the next phase, and we can be getting ready. That's going to be on Zoom. And then we are planning another one with the compañero Javier Molina. We're going to be talking about the narco-trafficking, immigration and the narco. And that's going to be on the Chamber of Deputies. It's going to be presential, but we're going to have the video as well for everybody. Okay, so anybody wants to add something? Hortensia, adelante.
Sí, bueno, agradecer escucharlos. Lamentablemente, no sé por qué no está jalando en mi computadora lo de la iCompany. No sé si es porque no tengo el Zoom, pero no está jalando. Pero ya para la próxima mesa tengo ahí algunos temas que los he estado escuchando, no los tengo todavía totalmente desarrollados, pero creo que es un tema muy relevante, más la vinculación entre los sindicatos y el tema que tocó hace un momento Armando, sobre esta idea de proteger a los trabajadores en situación de movilidad. Creo que es un tema trascendental y de vinculación entre sindicatos, pero también yo pertenezco a la Casa del Obrero Socialista Antonio Vital y creo que las casas del obrero son una de los puntos estratégicos que podríamos estar trabajando a lo largo y ancho, digamos, de los tres países. Creo que son, por su espíritu, espacios de formación, no solo de formación, sino también de más libertad de las y los trabajadores. Entonces iremos trabajando un poquito más la propuesta, afinarla, pero aquí estamos. Gracias.
Perfecto, muchas gracias, Hortensia. Igual vamos a implementar en la siguiente. Si alguien tiene problemas para eso, nada más me avísenme por chat y yo lo copio de la mía y lo mando. If anybody has problem with the iCompanion, or for the next meeting, you can ask me with the chat. You know, I missed this. Can you send me that the information? I just gonna copy it on my computer. I can send it by the chat as well. I'm gonna make sure on all the videos in the YouTube that they have the resume about the meeting on English and Spanish, so this way everybody knows exactly what we are talking about. So anybody else? No, okay. So you are more than welcome to join us today in a few hours at 6 o'clock Mexico City time for labor rights. We're going to be talking about that. And the next, tomorrow we have 10 o'clock in the morning, the migrant woman. I think this is very important topic as well. And Thursday and Wednesday, we have a reform electoral at 10 o'clock, immigration reform at 3 o'clock, and Trinational Cooperation, Union Cooperation on Wednesday at 6 o'clock. So we're going to keep talking about this this topic that we talked today. On Friday, the 23rd, we have at 10 o'clock labor right again, and at 3 o'clock indigenous migrants, and at 6 o'clock the USMCA review. On Thursday, the 22nd, is going to be at 2 o'clock Mexico City time. I'm going to send the information. It's going to be the work table with Jorge Mujica talking about labor rights. That's going to be in Spanish, but you are more than welcome to just to join us. I'm going to make sure the EA companion is ready, and I can send you all the information in English. Okay, so I think that's it for this meeting. I appreciate you being here. Thank you, Senadora Karina. And I'll remind you that all the Senadora Karina and Diputada Roselia Suarez, they are paying very close attention to this meeting. So we're going to keep working together. Thank you so much, and
Diego,
see
do you
you.
have a schedule for
Yes.
next? I don't have any schedules beyond this week. Is there?
No, because this week we end the first phase of these working groups, and then I'm gonna send you the report that I did the first week, and I'm gonna contact to each one of you to say this is the proposals that you suggest for this table. When you have time to talk on this specific topic, because we know each one of us will have different schedules. The 10 o'clock, I know this is way too early for you because you are in Hawaii, and I have people that is in New York. So we're going to figure out what is the best time to make this meeting. And as saying, you're going to be in charge of that meeting. We're going to support you, and we're going to ask everybody to join us on that one. So that's why it's not scheduled right now for the next week, but we're going to keep working on that. Okay, well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.